Mentoring your team at work is like mentoring your family at home. Well, I can tell you some of my best decisions in my career were to promote people that didn't have a lot of experience, but my God, they had a lot of energy and they had a lot of desire to succeed.
Generally speaking, most people don't enjoy going to work. They don't enjoy being at work. People are suffering at work. And I truly believe it's a leader's responsibility to reduce that suffering as much as possible and to create an environment that's high performing. So I think because underneath every system, every strategy, every result are people, right? We're talking about human beings, not human doings. And it's really respecting that. Welcome to Joy Squared, Live with Joy. This is the podcast where we get to explore the power of joy, purpose, passion, and fun, and how joy, when practiced intentionally, transforms how we live, work, and lead. I'm your host, Greg DeCoker, and I believe that when you live with joy, everything gets better, and I mean everything. And this isn't just about feeling good. It's about unlocking joy as a resource, one that fuels better leadership, meaningful work, and thriving lives. Each week, we share the stories, the insights, and the sparks that ignite more joy, because joy is contagious, it's powerful, and it belongs to all of us. So lean in, stay curious, and let's create more joy together. This is Joy Squared, brought to you by Essentia Group. Welcome back to Joy Squared, Live with Joy. I'm your host, Greg DeCoker, and this podcast is all about exploring joy not as a reward or something we earn after success, but as a powerful, intentional force that shapes how we live, work, and lead. And today's episode is part of something I'm really excited about. As part of our founding title sponsorship, I'm joined by the CEO of Essentia Group, Ray Carvelis. Essentia Group is not only supporting this podcast, but actively involved in the conversations we're bringing into the world. Each month, Ray joins me as co-host and brings a guest who is shaping leadership, culture, and performance in meaningful ways. And today's guest brings a depth of experience that is truly remarkable. He is a highly respected leader in the global mining industry with over 4 decades of experience leading complex operations and organizations around the world. Ray, I'll hand it over to you to introduce Jacques and get us started. And Jacques, it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Jacques, for joining us. Like Greg has said, Jacques is a highly respected figure in the mining sector with over 4 decades of experience. He has spent his career leading some of the most recognizable names in the sector. He has served as the president and CEO of Perron Resources, Thompson Creek Metals, as well as St. Andrew Goldfields. Jacques is a mining engineer by education and also has an executive MBA from Queen's University. He's currently the chair of the board of Arizona Metals Corporation and also the Canadian Mineral Industry Education Foundation. Jacques also lends his strategic expertise to the boards of industry giants like Franco-Nevada and Centerra Gold. And from his technical boots on the ground engineering to orchestrating operational turnarounds and major multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, Jacques literally has seen it all. And Jacques, absolutely are honored, and I'm really humbled that you've agreed to join us in this conversation of how we can live and lead more with joy within our organizations and in our lives. And you're a person, when I've seen you in the little bits I've seen of you in action, certainly at Premium Resources, the thing that struck me was how enthusiastic you came across, and you really seemed to love what you were doing, and you loved engaging with people, and that's why you were one of the first persons that I thought of. We really need to get your insights on how you've lived your life and your career with such intention and with joy. So thank you so much. Start the conversation by telling us a little bit about, supposed to be retired, right? Or at least semi-retired. Tell us about in your career, what actually gave you that joy that you were looking for? What was it that got you up in the morning and kept you excited about the things that you're doing amidst all the stress you must be dealing with?
First, thank Ray for the introduction, and Greg, thank you for having me on your podcast. That's quite interesting. Not something I do very often, but I'm enjoying the performance. Um,
Awesome.
well,
Awesome. I love it.
Raid, I was born raised in a small mining town where the industry was important, but the community was very important as well. And I was fortunate to be raised and started working in communities where people look after each other and spend time with each other and spend time at work, but spend time outside of work. And those small communities, you develop very strong bonds with the people that are mentoring you or helping you or guiding you through life, but also with your own family, and then over time with the people that you mentor or you support. Or and for me, this sense of community and this sense of building something and providing amazing opportunities and seeing people grow and returning to the communities some of the benefits of the business that you're involved with was always something that I thought was exceptionally great. I've seen what the mining industry can do for communities, how you can develop things, and I saw people grow and flourish and develop themselves, and I always enjoyed that part of the business. So on top of the technical challenges, and the interesting science and all the good stuff you're doing, and you're doing great things and building mines, and you also develop a sense of the importance of people. And for me, that's where I get most of my, I would say, my joy when I go to work. When I was working full time, I really enjoyed developing people and seeing them perform and doing things as a team, like the team environment, the team spirit, achieving results, setting challenging objectives, and getting there is really great. It's fantastic. So that was something that always motivated me, and throughout my life, I had no, not always the easy operations or easy places or remote communities far north where it's really cold and there's only two seasons, the heating oil season and the mosquito oil season. And but but the fun part of it is we were with people with a sense of community and helping each other, and that kept me very, very happy throughout my career.
I was just gonna say, like, personally, kind of, over the years, like, how did you kind of cultivate or create joy for yourself personally? You shared quite a bit about work, which is great. I love that. What about on a personal side?
It's not much different, when you think about your career or your professional life and your personal life. Being there for the people that you like or you love, your direct family, your kids and your parents and your sister and your cousins, and taking care of people and making sure that you continue to work on your relationship. And early on in my career, I was very lucky to have some great professional development supervisor courses. One of the initial leadership course I took when I was a younger man came about to be what Ray is doing today, and one of his associates. Like it's this leadership development was basically given to me for professional reasons. But what I've learned during these programs was very easy to apply at home with your own children, and helping them and teaching them and coaching them. Because at the end of the day, mentoring your team at work is like mentoring your family at home. It's the same, the same principles. It's all about the emotional connection. If, like, if you want to work on the safety aspect of work, if you cannot transmit that sense of emotion, that your personal affected by something that goes wrong, it's difficult for people to feel that it is important for you. And it's the same thing with your children. If you want to make sure they do the right things, they have to feel that it is important for you. And seeing them succeed at home is great. I have three daughters. They went through all the stages of life, through being young and nice, and being teenager and not so nice, and now they're adults and they're doing great. And many times we sit down and we talk, and they say, "You remember, Dad, when you told me this? Now I understand." Because they have their own children now. Like, it's a
Mhm.
this brings me a lot of
Yeah.
joy. When your children sit down with you and they
Mm.
say, "Oh, I get it, Dad. I get it." Uh Makes you very happy. And now the fun part of my life now is to do it with my grandchildren. Try to pass as much as I can to my grandchildren. And I don't have a full-time job, so I'm not directly involved in managing people anymore, but it's the same with the boards I sit on, and trying to guide management as much as possible, and again show them that you really care about what they're doing. And this is really fun. It's really, really fun. It's not tough to wake up in the morning and go do work, or do board no reading, or a conference calls, or talking to my kids or my grandkids. It's the same thing. It's just making sure that they understand that you're passionate about it and you love it and you want them to be successful.
Absolutely.
I love that. It's like they say, one sign, I think it's probably one of many signs that, you did a good job being a parent, is when your kids don't have to spend time with you, they want to spend time with you. Right? Because then they have a choice, right? So, and now you've got the bonus round with the grandkids, which is really special. So that's amazing. Yeah, I'm happy for you.
When I think about all this, and the happiness and the joy, and it's really a mindset. It's in everything that you do, there's tough moments, and there's times when you would prefer not to have to do it. You would prefer to be somewhere else or do something different. But you have to look at the big picture. Like, you have to look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I make it better? Try to make it more a challenge for yourself, to be a leader, and to show to others that we can have fun even if things are tough.
I
Absolutely.
love
And
it.
and even amidst those tough times, Jacques, that can still be a joy. You still have joy dealing with those tough times and coming out of it. And you look back and you think, man, that was tough, but I had some fun while I was
Yeah, you
dealing
get
with
more
that.
joy when it's done. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I've witnessed with you, Jacques, is your belief in your people. Like you had an
Mhm.
incredible belief in your people, and often we would sit down. You'd say, "Ray, there's this person that really is not performing to their full potential. How can we help that person?" And that was always your focus, from what I could see, that you always wanted to help people become the best that they could be in the workplace and at home. Talk to us a bit about that, because that was something that struck me with how you led your people. Is you had such a belief, and you would go out of your way to help them to become the person they meant to be.
Yeah, you see, Ray, you're only as good as your team is good. And in my career
Mhm.
and my personal life, I did meet, but very rarely, bad people. Like, people that have a very dark view on things and life, and are not nice and with others. But this is extremely rare. Most people, they want to be nice, they want to be successful, they want to do the right things, but for all kinds of reasons, sometimes they can't get there. And in order for them to get there is to support them, help them, give them the resources, give them the skills. I remember my last job. I remember there was this young man who was super talented but was so shy, and he was having a hard time to go out and say, I can do this. And me and others at the team, we just said, this is it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. We're gonna give you the responsibility, and you're gonna make mistakes, but that's fine. You're gonna learn. And we gave these people support, and after 6 months, these people were totally transformed because they felt like they were getting the support, and if they were to make a mistakes, they wouldn't get fired, or criticized. Or it's all about thinking positively and looking for the good in everyone, because there's good in everybody. There's good stuff, and sometimes you have to recognize that they would be much better in a different role, and then you move them. And I see at times people say, oh, they don't have enough experience. Well, I can tell you some of my best decisions in my career were to promote people that didn't have a lot of experience, but my God, they had a lot of energy and they had a lot of desire to succeed, and they did amazing. They just did amazing. Being there just to make sure that they have enough rope to run and not enough to hang themselves, just like just managing that dynamic is always a bit tricky, but if you get it right, it is so much fun. You're sitting at your desk and you're laughing because they do all the work and you have nothing to do. It's great.
And it sounds like, Jacques, you really have a strong belief in people in general, and especially the people that you led. I love that. And it sounds like there are times in your career where maybe they didn't believe in themselves as much as you did. So it's almost like they're kind of like you're helping to build up their confidence. You're giving them the space. You're positioning it like, hey, let's not look at these as mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn from those mistakes. Those are lessons. Let's reframe it into lessons. And what great space to give, people to grow, right? You're really giving them an opportunity to grow. One, you're believing them, and you're giving them space to make mistakes, and it's okay. And I think that's really critical, because I don't think that exists as much as it needs to, because people don't enjoy going to work. Generally speaking, most people don't enjoy going to work. They don't enjoy being at work. People are suffering at work. And I truly believe it's a leader's responsibility to reduce that suffering as much as possible and to create an environment that's high performing. So it sounds like you've
It's funny,
consistently
Greg,
done
because
that, in your,
yes, some people would say, "Oh yeah, for sure, this guy was the CEO of a company. For sure, it's fun. He's in charge of everything." And I meet school teachers, I meet security people, I meet I met in my career a number of people that were not CEOs. They had very different jobs. They had like some people in IT or different roles, but they were super happy. They were happy because they were in an environment where they were able to contribute. And I think what hurts people the most is when they don't understand, how can I contribute? What is my contribution to the success? When we learn in leadership classes this famous example at NASA. When they asked this janitor, "What are you doing here?" and he said, "We're sending people to the moon." He was the janitor, but he felt part of the team that it was important for him to do his job because they needed a clean environment to work on all the electronics and everything that they were building. And he felt part of the team sending someone to the moon. And I think that's the biggest issue, that the people that you're talking about that feel that they don't want to go to work, they don't like their work, it's because they don't understand, how do I fit in this big picture? What is my role here, and how do I contribute? And I said many times. I go to leadership meetings with the mine site, with the workers, and the guys. They want to do a good job, and if they understand how important it is, it's rare that you see people when they understand where they fit in the big picture. It's rare that you see people that say, "I hate my job. I hate my job." Uh, when you hear that, I think you have to think about why and what is it that this person doesn't like what they're doing every day. Because it must be terrible to hear the alarm clock in the morning and say, "I don't want to go." It gets you have to find, for every one of the people that are under your leadership, they'll have to find a way to explain to them how important their role is. And once they get that, they change the way they look at their job.
Absolutely.
I think I agree with everything you said, and I love that, Jacques. I think it's people want to make a difference, right? I think everyone at some level, in some way, wants to make a difference. And often we look at purpose can be such a heavy conversation. What's your purpose in life? And I tell people, like when I lead retreats, and I said, well, what if your purpose is just to love your life? There's no downside in that. And maybe that will help you find if it's a more specific purpose, if that's what they're looking for or not. And they say that 20 to 25% of people look at their jobs as their purpose in life. So imagine those people, that's their purpose, and they're going to a job that they don't love. That makes it even worse, right? So if you can somehow connect what they do, like you said, to how they're making a difference, whether it's attaching it to the vision of the company, whatever that might be, right? I think it just gives them a reason. It gives them, it builds up they can see it. They know how they fit in, right? It makes more sense. They know they're contributing. And I think that the way that you articulated it was
I don't
wonderful.
know, Greg, if you ever experienced this, but you talk to this man or this woman, and you say, "Oh, what did you do on the weekend?" "Oh, I taught my daughter how to make a cake." And "Oh yeah, how does that work?" "Oh, well, we sat in the kitchen and we did this, and I make sure she doesn't cut herself with the knife, and and I told her how to do this and do that." And then you go to work and you give them someone and you say, "Okay, well, maybe you can do with this person what you did with your daughter. Show her to make the work cake." When people get responsible for someone
Yeah.
else, like
Exactly.
watch after this and this
Mhm.
person and transfer your knowledge. It's amazing how enthusiastic they become about what they do, because they're very proud of making sure that this person will do the work without getting injured, with doing it properly, and learning what they
Mhm.
can teach them. Um, and that's why I said earlier, like work, home, I don't see a lot of difference.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, and there's also an expression too, how we do one thing is how we do everything. That speaks to character, right? I mean, generally speaking, it's very true. And it's a great way to kind of look at, how you're treating people at home versus how you're treating people on the way home to how you're treating
You should
people,
see it
at
how it's
work and
funny,
everywhere in
when
between. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
family
So
they
it
come
makes
they
a
come
difference.
visit me, and I have an inclined driveway and I have some rubber chucks, and outside, and I go and I put the chuck behind the wheel, and then they look at me. They say, "Okay, yeah, we know, lockout, tag out, yeah, we know." Hey, if you're safe at work, you're safe at home. It's not different.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, for me, I always like what I do at home, or I was part of a motorcycle association when I lived in the US, and one of the reason I was part of that association, it was because of the focus on safety. You have CPR courses, first aid courses, riding courses every year. It was when we were riding, it was always about safety. And if somebody had a health condition, we were all aware of it, and we knew where the EpiPen was located, and where this and that. And this is, for me, it's not a work thing, it's not a home thing, it's just the thing. That's what you do. And
Hmm.
When you start to look at life like this,
It's part of the culture,
yeah,
right?
it's a cult. It's fun. It's amazingly fun. It's
Correct, correct. And Jacques, one of the things that I've seen you do, and we see lots of operations, and oftentimes we'll talk to the people at the front line, the frontline supervisors and the superintendents, and they're asking me, so tell us about the GM. Never mind the CEO, the GM. Oh no, I never see him. Oh, I hardly ever see him, and it makes me sad. And I saw how you lived as a leader. Like every time you were on site in the morning and the evening, you were at a lineup meeting, and you were there almost religiously. Tell us about why did you do that? Why was that so important when other even GMs, never mind CEOs, just can't seem to find the time to get to those important lineup meetings with the frontline workers there?
well, again, for me, everything happens with people. You can buy equipment, you can buy supplies, you can buy this, but you cannot buy people. The people, they're the ones that do the job. They're the ones that take care of everything. And you want to make sure they understand, especially as the top leader of the company, you want to make sure they understand how you think. Like every meeting I went to, I told them you have the right to stop. You don't, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't think it's right, and if somebody gives you a hard time because you stop, call me, send me an email. I'll take care of it. It's,
Mm.
it's, you want to make sure that they understand your values
Mm.
and how you want this business to perform and how you want things to be done. You can send an email, you can send a memo that they're going to pin on the wall, but I personally think that when you go in a room with the team and you talk to them and you said you have any questions, and then the first time nobody has questions. They're very quiet. The second time they say, "Oh yeah, maybe this guy he wants us to ask questions." And and I remember sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
the leadership at the site would say, "Oh, we're not going to go see these guys." I said, "Why?" "Oh, they're really tough. It's a really tough crew." "No, let's go see them. Let's go." And people appreciate that, and they feel like they're really part of the team because you give them attention, and then you tell them how you want things to be done. And this is critical. If you want to have success, Ray, you have no choice whatsoever to be close to people. Like if you're in
Absolutely.
a top leadership job and you go to site and you go into the conference room and you close the door, and at the end of the day you go back to catch your flight, you're missing the boat big time. Big time. The people that will make you successful are the ones that do the work every day. Those are the ones that carry the ball. Like so it's important to connect with them.
It's like they say, if you take really good care of your people, they're going to take really good care of your company, right? So it all comes from that actively caring for people. And I'd love to hear. I know we've talked a lot about creating joy and cultivating joy within the company. I'd love to hear, like, what do you think blocks joy in a company? What's been your experience?
I think the what blocks joy is having expectations that are not realistic. Like I've seen some places or other companies, and I was talking to colleagues or friends or others, and they were saying they want us to do this, and then we'll never get there. We'll never get there. And people, it's a big mountain, and they get discouraged and they get negative and everything turns dark. And I think that kills joy. People want to be successful. If you want to eat the elephant in one bite, it's very discouraging. But if you want to eat the elephant one step at a time, and every time people get to the step number one and you have a little celebration, and you get to step number two and then you have another little celebration, it gets a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. But if the challenge is way too big, or people, maybe it's not, you can see that they can get there but they don't see it, you have to you have to tone it down. You have to give them the ability to be successful, because more success attract more confidence, and more confidence, more success. And I think the setting objective is one of the things I've seen in my career that can really kill the fun in everything you do. Because when a team starts to lose, look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, not very happy,
Yeah.
especially
Right.
when they get close to the playoffs, because they start to lose and lose and lose and lose, and year after year after year after year. When you start to win, it's fun. It's fun. Being successful is fun, and when people taste that, they want more. So I think that's the worst thing you can do, Greg, as a leader, is to ask for too much too fast.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective, and sometimes even like just expectations, even if they're not unrealistic, if you haven't created an agreement, if it's just like, there's an expectation out there, but then how do we manage all these other priorities? Can we have a conversation about it? I remember my dad telling me when I was 28 years and years ago, he said, "Greg, people want to be involved in decisions that affect them." It's very simple and it's very obvious, but not all leaders involve their team. So there might be these expectations, but what if we talk about it? What if we have a conversation about it? So there's some negotiation and ultimately an agreement, whether the expectations are unrealistic or not, right? You're moving towards something where everyone's on board and everyone's been heard, or, the people involved for sure, right? So I
Yeah,
love that
it's
perspective for
but
sure.
if you're
So
careful about a couple little things, yeah, you can have a lot of fun. Yep.
absolutely, and like you say, Jacques, keep those goals and objectives realistic, and you can then raise the bar as the confidence grows, and you raise the bar and you stretch a little bit further, but you're building your confidence. People, like you say, they want to win, they want to be successful. So that's some really great insights. I really like that. Looking back on your career and your life, Jacques, is there any particular moment that stands out for you where you really felt um, a great thoughts and sense of joy in your life, in your career?
If there's one particular moment, difficult to say. There's many, many particular moments where I was very happy and very satisfied with what we had done or the success we had achieved. If I had to pick one particular moment, it was very early on in my career, when we were developing a new technology that was not used anywhere in the world, and it's called paste backfill. And we were the first mine in the world to use that technology on a commercial basis. And we were a small mine, a very small mine in northwestern Quebec. And the other company that was looking at developing that technology was Inco, a huge multinational big company. And I remember meeting with the Inco guys, and we told them, we're going to do it before you guys. And oh, no way, you can't. We're the big Inco. And we had a very little team, but we were highly motivated. We were having fun, and we started to place paste backfill underground before the big Inco. We were the first to do it. And I have to say, that was a tremendous experience, Ray, that taught me a lot about working in a team environment with determination. And even if you don't have a lot of money and you're not the richest or the biggest, or you can do great things if you put your mind to it, and if the people around you are fully involved and engaged in getting to the results. And that was a life lesson for me. It really changed the way I saw things after that. And it was a great moment. It was really, really fun. We drank a lot of beers at that weekend.
Lovely.
A lot of
I'm sure
celebrating.
you did. I'm sure you did. But that's lovely, Jacques. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And then that whole, you know, the teamwork is really sounds like is what really, filled you with that enjoyment and making, getting the team over the line and getting the team to come together, as small as it was compared to the big giants in Inco. So that's some lovely insights. Thank you for sharing that. So Jacques, you've got so much experience to share with our listeners, and you've talked about so many different things about culture, about caring, about connecting with your people, about living values. What would be your one or two sort of closing thoughts that you would leave with our listeners uh, to to really live and lead with that connection and with joy?
I would say, Ray, the number one, take care of the people around you. Make sure that these people become better than you are. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing people that you develop become better than you. Uh, and I have a very good friend who Ray. He always say, if you want to play good hockey, play with better players than you. So
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
that's number one is focus on the people, focus on the people, focus on the people. And lesson number two is no matter how tough it is, no matter how negative it looks, never stop looking at what is possible and how you're going to get there. Because as a leader, we always say if the captain of the ship jumps, not too good. So you have to lead with determination. But if you pretend that there's a solution, people will read through that very quickly. You have to believe in it. You have to live it. You have to show why you can get there. And I think those are the two things that make a difference at the end of the day. And it's the same, it's the same in your personal life. If you go through tough times in your family with illness or whatever, you need to continue to see the positive and think about the positive and focus on the positive, because it makes a big difference at the end of the day.
Wow. I love that, Jacques. And if our listeners can just take those two things away, I think it'll make the workplace a different place. It'll make them successful and their team successful. I really love that. Thank you so much for those points. So Jacques, I want to thank you sincerely for agreeing to be part of this conversation. And we may get you back for a different conversation because we got lots to talk about. But thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you when we out in BC. So thank you very much, Jacques, for joining us on this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jacques. I mean, it's been an incredible conversation. Yeah, I really appreciate your time, your energy, your humility, your wisdom, your care, your humor. It's been a really special conversation. And I think for me, the one thing that stands out, is the perspective you bring, the ability to see not just the complexity of the business that you're working within, but the humanity within it, right? Like what I'm taking away from this conversation is like environments where the stakes are high and the pressure is real, like it becomes even more important how we lead and how we treat people. You really, the way that you talked about it, you lead with joy. You're not waiting until the milestones are met and the metrics are achieved to then celebrate. There's joy infused. I mean, that's like maybe that's your positioning statement, joy infused, right? That's who you are as a person. That's who you are as a leader. And it's been really special to hear that. I love it. So I think because underneath every system, every strategy, every result are people, right? We're talking about human beings, not human doings. And it's really respecting that. And when people feel aligned, respected, and connected to something meaningful, performance follows so naturally. And maybe that's where joy lives. So yeah, no, I really appreciate everything you've shared today. And yeah, and to everyone listening, thank you for your time and your energy. And if something resonated today, I invite you to take action on it. So it doesn't just stay as is it just an idea, right? Consider taking a moment this week, maybe to create clarity, build connection, listen more deeply, be more present. Because when people are aligned and connected, everything changes, as we've heard and as we've seen, and everything changes for the better. So we'll see you next
Yes,
time
thank
on
you.
Joy Squared. Live with joy. Cheers. Thanks again, Jack. Thanks for spending this time with us on Joy Squared, where joy multiplies and everything gets better. Remember, joy isn't just something you feel, it's something you create and it's something you pass on. If this conversation sparks something in you, share it because joy is contagious. What we're building here is bigger than a podcast. It's a reminder and a movement that how we live, work, and lead truly matters. Until next time, live with joy, lead with purpose, and never forget to have fun. Keep choosing joy squared. And if you're enjoying the journey, we'd be grateful if you subscribe, like, and share Joy Squared so the ripple keeps spreading.